right, everybody. SIFU NIKOS podcast. I have Danny. I'm going to let Danny explain himself and who he is and what he does. I have Danny on today. He is a certified killer. All right. So
thanks, my
Danny,
man.
just let us know, who you are and what you do, man.
So I'm Dan Moriarty. So far, currently professional MMA fighter, 2-0 under LFA. I was lucky enough to have my first 2 pro fights for LFA, so I'm excited and just going to keep it rolling. I think April 30th will be the next one for Nemesis, and then try to just keep moving from there. But yeah, I've been in martial arts for a really long time. I kind of grew up with it. Like my dad trained me ever since I was a little kid.
Wow.
And just kind of growing up around the sport and going to fights. Like, I mean, he used to ref fights, and before it was even legal in Missouri. So like we would have to go down it was this venue called the Machinist Hall, and guys that have been around the sport for a long time, like one of my coaches, Drew and Grande, or like people like that, like the older group of guys that have been around forever, they remember this time, but like everybody else is like, well, what are you talking about? But I mean, back in the day when we would go down there and you'd see these guys fighting, and you're just like, you're a little kid and you're looking at it, you're like, man, I want to do this. But it was so different back then. Like nowadays, everybody knows everything. Like you have to know everything. You have to know how to strike. You have to know how to grapple. You have to know how to wrestle. You also need to like keep up with like the new school techniques, like which I think our gym is really good at. Like,
right.
Just different things, switching stances and like different attacks and different things that like back then, like nobody knew. Back then it was just like sprawl and brawl,
It's
swinging and banging, yeah, dude. That was the thing back then. It's entertaining to watch, but
very.
If you want to do the sport, you gotta learn it all.
I think that's amazing. So you're saying that your father got you into this. That's very similar to me. I started when I was 6, so I can relate to that. So what was it about that like beginning? Seeing all that, did you start training then, or did you get into like karate? Did you get into MMA? Or you just loved the aspect of it all?
Yeah, my dad was he did like a lot of Jeet Kune Do concepts, things like that, jiu-jitsu, submission grappling. So I mean, it was kind of like at a really young age. I mean, I used to watch him train when I was in diapers. I would come in, like that's what he would always say. Like my mom would have like the gate to like, like those like dog gates or whatever, so you couldn't get in. And I'd be like just sitting over the thing, like just watching him train and just wanting to do it when I was a little kid. So when I was old enough to like, start hitting the bag and like doing whatever, I mean, he had me training. So, it's just ever since then, I just love the sport. I've always been around it. Like no other sport like means anything to me. I can't watch basketball. I can't watch hockey. I can't watch, Tiffany gets mad at me sometimes. I can't watch baseball, or like I don't have fun watching any of that stuff. But combat sports is like, it's what I like, man.
It's where it's at, man. It's a beautiful
growing up
thing.
with it, dude. Yeah, everything else is just boring to me. Like I don't watch somebody like throw a football or do whatever, and that's people's preferences. That's just me.
Exactly.
Like I can't do it. I have to watch the combat sports. But
I love it. I'm right there with you. So then, did you ever get into any? How old were you when you got into anything formal like jiu-jitsu or anything like that?
My dad. I mean, me and my dad used to train jiu-jitsu when I was a kid, but I started so. I trained with him for a while, and then I branched out, and he was telling me, he's like, you need training partners and you need people to train with. We had some guys, like my dad had trained a couple of fighters, but they were bigger guys, like 185ers, guys that would like, I couldn't spar with any of those guys, so we would go down to I went down to Woodley's gym. Tyron Woodley had a gym, and I went up there, and that was back before he was in the UFC, so he was around like a lot, and we had a good group of guys. It was like me, Alejandro Socorro, David Evans, like guys like that have been around, James Blair, Dylan Poussin, like we all trained together for a while. So we had a solid group, but everybody kind of, after like 2-3 years, everybody kind of split off and started doing their own things and going to different places. But it was a good time. That's kind of really where I started getting serious about the sport. It's where I had my first fight under that gym. And, and then I started falling in love with the actual fighting aspect of it too.
So that companionship probably felt really good because
dude. Oh yeah.
You grow, you bounce off of each other. Yeah.
Because it's different. You got guys that are your size and stuff that you can train with, and and you realize like how bad you actually suck when you're training with other people that are good at other things. Like you're like, man, my dad would take it easy on me, obviously. So it was like, I'm like, man, I'm actually pretty good at this. Then you go with people that are like, yeah, you're like, wow, I really suck,
Yep.
So it's good. It gets you better.
Right. Well, and thank your pops that you had at least some foundational understanding of where you wanted to go and where you wanted to take it. So
exactly. I had like a good base from him. He taught me a good base, but now like what we're working on is, I try to get like a good 2 days a week in with him.
Yeah.
Where we're just like for an hour or two, we're working just different concepts and different things. Cause like I said, MMA is like always, it's a changing sport. You can't be like this ordinary person that does the same stuff that everybody else does. You have to do different things. And like, it took so long for me to realize that. Like I used to want to be like, I was like, man, I just want to like Dutch style kickboxing and wrestling. That's it. Like that's all. Like I want to be like everybody else, like I want to do what they do. But it's really like, I'm learning to like open my mind a little bit to different things and different concepts. And that's what's making me better,
Yeah, you're well-rounded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you got to pull things out of your back pocket and it's stuff that people have never seen before, like, or they don't expect you to do. Like my last fight, like nobody knew I knew how to do heel hooks or anything like that. I used to just wrestle. So,
I want to tell you, man, if you could have been here, I was like, oh my God. I was like, he's not getting out of that. He's not getting out of that. He's tapping.
That was so cool, man. Like it was so cool. That fight was special to me because it was on LFA and I got to be on the main card and I was super excited. Well, originally I was supposed to fight on the prelims, but we couldn't get an opponent. And like, it was like, we were 2 weeks out and I'd actually known who Jet Shell was. Like we had talked before in the past and we were supposed to fight on, I believe a different show a couple weeks earlier, but it just never panned out. I think he had gotten a different, on a different promotion closer to his home and everything. So like he, and then I was trying to get on LFA, so it just didn't work out. But in the end, like his opponent pulled out because of COVID and then they're like, oh, well, let's just get him. So then, we started training for him and like, man, that guy is freakishly strong for a flyweight, dude. So we have Sam Penance in the gym and that kid walks around like 170 and he's huge and bulky. So I'm like, I'm used to like strong flyweights and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But when you're in there fighting, it's just like a whole different thing. I'm used to being like the bully in there. I can bully guys around, put them in the clinch, take them down, threaten the striking. But this dude, like when we locked up, I was like, Jesus Christ. I was trying to just slow it down. Like the whole plan was to, we had watched his fights and he's such a buzzsaw that like, we thought that maybe like him with my good defense in the first round and just trying to just chill and not expend any energy.
Right.
We thought maybe we'd be able to, we maybe would be able to get him to gas, a little bit in the second and third. And I remember looking over and I was like, man, he still looks kind of fresh. Like, we're in for a fight here. And we didn't, like I knew he had striking, but just the threat of knowing that he was probably going to take me down. I mean, he's a national champion. The kid is an amazing wrestler and we just don't have the same credentials. Like in MMA is different, but because I was thinking about it so much, it made it so much harder to open up with my strikes. Cause I hit him. I remember one of the shots I landed was a nice left hand. And I just looked at him and I saw him like starting to change levels again. And I'm like, oh man, he's going to start shooting. And then he came up and kicked me in the head, it was a great fight. And it was a super, super tough challenge for me. And it made me have to do things that I've never done before, which was really cool.
Yeah. And you switched it up in the middle of your fighting. And that was beautiful to see your tactics change. Yep. I as a martial artist, I can appreciate that. I thought that was beautiful. Now, the thing I want you to walk the viewers and everybody through because I feel like there's a misconception here because when you are in the back walking to entering the cage like take me through all of that, the emotions and everything because I feel like that right there is not thought of for the viewer. They're just like, let's watch this fight, but there's so much
more
behind it. So when you're back there, where is your head before you're even in the, walking down or anything? Where do you put yourself?
So, I go through some weird roller coasters and I've gotten so much better with it. One of my coaches, Drew and Grande, he's got me really dialed in with like my mental preparation for things like, and there's things I've never really thought about like before. Is like usually when you're in the back, like I used to think you need to be like this guy that's like, oh, come on, like, fuck, you know, like, you got Godsmack in, you're like, oh, you know, like, but like, I used to be like that, but I realized that was my biggest problem is I would get too worked up and I'd go out there and start panic shooting for takedowns because I just wanted to like get a hold of you and like, you know, like that was just my thing. But so what I do now is like, I kind of just try to, like, I'm sitting there, I go into this kind of like, you can't even explain it. I'm trying it. It's like a empty
meditative kind of state almost.
It's like kind of like an empty feeling. Like you just like, you're not really, you start from like the beginning of the day, you know, you're kind of going through the motions. You wake up, you do like your morning shakeout, you know, you get a little sweat going to work off like the food that you ate the night before. And then you kind of just, you know, you're sitting on the couch just thinking of like all the things that, you know, you want to do and go over. And in my head, like I've got, you know, obviously I have the best support system ever. I got my dad. So my dad will like randomly will be sitting there on the couch and he'll be like, so what are you going to do if he does this? And then I'll just say it back to him really fast. Like I'm going to do this. And then he'll be like, what are you going to do if he shoots a single leg? I'm going to whizzer and I'm going to get my head in there. I'm going to push his elbows off and I'm going to strike. And then he'll be like, what are you going to do? So just randomly throughout the day, he'll kind of do that. So I go into this kind of like weird robot stage and I get there and I kind of just sit there and try to stay as calm as possible. This time was hard. My buddy, Jared Medley that I train with, he was fighting on the same card and he was actually fighting a guy from their team and, you know, fighting a stud and he ended up losing and my, you know, Drew and Mop were telling me like, don't get invested in his fight because you're going to be thinking in your head, you're going to be, you know, and I made the mistake of like going out there and watching it and I'm freaking out, like watching it. So I had to take like another like 45 minutes after that just to like calm back down because I'm just like trying to get back in my zone. Usually I don't, you know, watch the fights before him, but like, you know, he's like my brother. So I
it's your camp. Was he in your camp with you?
Oh yeah. Me and him train together every day. So, I mean, it's just like, it's hard to sit there and see him, you know, missing position stuff that we've worked in, like, just because, you know, it's only his second fight. So, you know, and he's fighting guys. The dude he fought was, I believe, had 10 or 11 fights, is about to go pro. And that was his second fight. Like, you know, it's just one of those things where it was just the experience level with the wrestling. Like he just wasn't used to it, but yeah. So then, you know, whenever you're getting ready to walk out, like, you know, you hear him kind of say like, all right, you're up next. And I kind of go into this like new thing where like, I used to be, you know, super amped up, like I said, but now I kind of start like, I get like really giddy now. And it's kind of weird. Like it's almost like a kid on Christmas morning. Like I'll start like laughing and like getting like super excited. And
that's awesome.
And Mop will start telling me jokes and stuff and like joking around with me because he knows I need to be calm. So he'll just start like making really dumb jokes. Like, don't be a bitch, just hit him in the face, you know, or like stupid stuff like that. And like, you know, start making me laugh. And then right before we, you know, we'll be sitting there and he always says the same thing to me now. Like he'll always be like, you love this shit, don't you? And I'm like, oh yeah, I love this shit, you know? And that's always the last thing I need to hear. Right before I walk out there, that's the last thing I need to hear. I'm ready to go.
I think that's a mantra. It's like a mantra.
Yeah, you kind of build. Like I said, you go from that like empty state and then you're just building and building and building. And then all of a sudden you get this like me, I get that whole giddy feeling where I'm laughing and I'm excited. And then my dad's like, there he is. Like, let's go, you know, like there he is. And then we go out, you know,
in the pocket.
Yeah, you're just happy, you know, like, and I'm just happy to be there. Like I get to, you know, I was telling my dad, it's funny, like on weight cut day, like the day of the weigh-ins, I always look at people that are like living like normal lives. And I'll look at them like sitting in at the hotel for the weigh-ins. They're sitting there on their computer drinking their coffee. And I'm like looking at you and I'm like, I wish I had your fucking problems right now. Like I wish I had your problems. Like I could like you gotta finish your project or whatever you're working on by the end of the day. I gotta go cut 5 more pounds and then fight this, you know, stud
battle
tomorrow. Yeah, that's gonna punch me in the face. And I always get like that. I'm always like, I wish I had these normal people fucking problems. I go to my 9 to 5, I go home, I sit in front of the TV, I fall asleep. And then whenever, you know, before I'm walking out, I'm like, man, I fucking love this life. Like, it's so cool. I get to, you know, then it all kind of comes back to you. And you're just like, man, like I would never want to be anywhere else than right here, right now, you know?
That means you're right where you need to be.
Exactly.
And so when you're in that zone, I feel like you become unstoppable. You know, as a person, you
Yeah.
feel unstoppable and you
Oh,
feel focused and connected. When you were let's just go back to your last fight. When you were in your last fight and you had to switch things up, did you recognize that the groundwork you would have to keep it to the ground, or did you think you would take it down and have to bring it back up to wear them down? Wear them down and then bring them back up. Where were you at?
So I was kind of in between. Like I think it was cool how my mind kind of just switched it up so easily without even thinking about it. Like I didn't panic at all. I had never once had a moment in that fight, even when I got hurt with the knee. I never once like panicked or freaked out. Like I just kind of just did the things that I'm used to doing in the gym. It's like my thought was when in the end of the first round, when I like kind of pushed his hips off and got the heel hook. And that heel hook was tight. Like he's tough. Like that heel hook in the first round, the last 15 seconds, man, I had that shit. I was like, I felt it. I was like, man, I looked at him in the eye and he looked at me and I saw in his eye, like his, if he could be saying anything right then, he'd be like, I'm not fucking tapping. Fuck you. And I knew he wasn't going to tap. So I stopped cranking as hard and I was like, I got to save my arms a little bit. But I knew that position would be there the whole fight if I wanted it.
Yeah.
Because I knew that he was going to take me down again. I mean, it was just going to happen unless he kind of gassed a little bit, which I saw he wasn't. I mean, he had gotten past my whole initial part of my game, what I was going to do. So I knew that like, okay, this is going to be there. If he takes me down again, this is what I'm going to go to. I'm going to just work off my back. And I've always been good off my back. Like, that's my thing, but like, I just don't show it in fights. Nobody sees it. So it's cool that people get to see, like I said, another part of me. And I'm excited for people to see what I can really do striking too. Like nobody sees that.
That's going to be awesome.
I got spinning elbows. I got spinning kicks. I got all sorts of crazy shit for you guys. We're just waiting for the right opponent that brings it out of me,
Right. I love that you said that brings it out of you. Right. So you don't throw your whole shebang in there. You let people kind of get the levels that they deserve.
Yep, exactly. If you pass like my first game plan that I have for you, I got another one. You pass that one, I got another one. Like there's just so many levels to what I can do,
I have to shout out Drew and Mop because those guys like, listen, man, those guys are awesome. I don't know the year, but a few years ago, I just was messaging people and no one wanted us to come in and spar, and your guys are like, come out to the Wolves Den, just come spar with them. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, they're so accepting, they're knowledgeable. I want to say that that's one of the best gyms around here that I've been to, and as far as killers they're producing, you guys are wild. And before I go on, I was there one day, and this God, I'm gonna forget. Okay, Ashley. I think her name is Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley.
Smashley or something. Yeah. That was the first time I had ever experienced someone with infinite cardio.
Oh yeah, man.
I saw her sparring, and I'm looking at her, and then an hour later, I'm like, there's no difference. She just didn't lose. She's like giddy, happy, ready to go. I'm like, I've never seen someone with infinite cardio like that. So you guys have a science over there to where to where it's just perfect. So shout out to Mop and Drew for that, because
what I love about those guys too is like they deal with everybody. They help everybody individually. Like they know they'll train with you for like a couple months. Mop's always funny because like he'll be so nice to you like for the first like month or two that you're there.
Right.
And he's just the biggest asshole to you. Like he's like, you suck. You need to work on this. You need to work on this, like joking around with you stuff. But everybody's different. Like like for me, they know that they teach me a different way and talk me through things a different way than they would like Sam or Jared or Justin. Like everybody's just different, and we all have different mindsets and different styles. And they don't. What I love about them too is they're not like these coaches that will say like, you need to fight like this. This is our system. You do exactly what I tell you to do. You see some of these big gyms, that's how they are. What they do is they're like, I'm not going to change you at all. I'm going to keep your fundamental style that you like and that you love and what's going to make you a star. I'm going to add stuff to that, stuff that is going to cater to that style and make you the best you can be. And that's that's why our guys are so successful.
Yeah.
Like a guy like Sean, Sean, you know, like Sean's a volume striker. He's a DS style striker. And you know, he's working with like Jordan, and they've got their own long combos and things that Sean likes to do that he does in his fights, you know. But they're not going to try to change him to be this like shell up Dutch style kickboxer. Like that's just not him. He's got his own style. Or like you know, Sam's like a really switch stance fighter. He throws a lot of overhands and different tricky things. They're not going to say like, okay, you need to stop doing that. You need to be a you know, one stance, you know, Muay Thai fighter. You're not going to do that. They're going to cater to what he likes to do. So we just have such an amazing gym. Like everybody's so
I could sit here and talk for hours about it because
me too. I could too. I don't want to take a guy like I could talk about it forever.
Well, and that's cool. Let's do it. Let's dive in. But I want to focus on something. You guys have such a unity. And I'm not just saying that. You guys literally have a family orientated feeling for the people that you have there. What's her name? Lily, the princess. Yeah, I remember when I was there, I had some ladies coming out to spar. She, on her own, reached out to them and said, "Hey, we have a ladies sparring group. We're doing this. We're doing that." You know, to me, she didn't have to do any of that stuff. It just shows me the character the type of character that you guys have, and the type of character that you guys are building there is just flawless. I mean, it's beautiful. I appreciated every minute I was there.
That's awesome.
Everybody that came with me appreciated it. So you guys,
and we have people that hit us up all the time to come spar, and we always tell them like, "You come down." Like, our gym's really big on cross training. Like, we think like as long as you're not like you don't have a match against us and stuff. Like Drew will always tell you, like Drew will be like, "Yeah, man, come down, like come get some work." And usually, like a lot of the guys that will come cross train with us, they'll stay there. Like they'll come up and then they'll be like, "Wow, like you guys have a really good team up there." They'll stay and they'll train, and we love that because we're like, you know, especially our little guy group, we're so close. Like I talk to those guys every single day. We've got like about 9 to 10 of us. Like
I seen you posted a picture. Is that the new?
Like
25 to what? What was it?
It was 125 to 145. Like, I mean, we're stacked. We have pros, amateurs, like everybody at those weights. Like, I mean, you can't get any better. Most people in St. Louis are at our gym at that weight. Like, we have most people, and then we fight everybody that's out of town. And I feel like that's kind of how it should be. Like, all of our local guys, we're all training in the same gym at that weight, getting better. And then we have, you know, Brad Marlene from NFA or LFA or whoever is going to bring in people from out of town to fight us. And we have to, you know, we have people for all styles. Like if I fight like a karate guy, I've got karate guys in the gym, or if I fight a switch stance fighter, or if I fight a boxer, I have all those people, or the kickboxers. You know, we got like Brandon Beatty. If I fight like a tall high kickboxer,
dude,
the unfortunate task of sparring that guy, you know, like,
pause for a second. Cause that dude is a monster.
He's the serial killer, Michael Cera, dude. Have you ever seen him? He looks exactly like Michael Cera. But he's a serial killer.
The craziest thing, whenever I saw him sparring, his face, he was just like straight face, confident, focused. And then I'll never forget this. He was like doing some jabs, you know, doing a couple of jabs, and then his foot just came up out of nowhere in someone's chest. He didn't telegraph it or anything. I was just like, how the hell did you do that?
He's crazy. He's so good. He's so good, and he's doing a lot more coaching these days. So he's like coaching all the kickboxers. Actually, we have a bunch of people going to Waco Nationals next weekend.
Oh, sweet.
So like my wife's going. We got Liz and Lily are going. This guy Steve, Haley. You know, we have a good group of people that are going to Waco. So like they all have like their group that's everybody's in camp getting ready and doing that.
That's awesome.
But Beatty's doing like a little bit more coaching these days. But he's actually fighting, I think, in April. I think he's got a fight scheduled. I would hate to fight that guy. Like I feel so bad. Anybody that matches against him, like I just feel horrible for it. I hate sparring that guy. It's weird. He's so nice too. He'll be like, "Hey man, you want to get a warm up round in?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, dude." And then you'll touch his glove, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." It's just like
you're like warm up round.
And he's not even. I mean, he's barely even going on you. You just feel his intensity presence and his speed, and you're just like, God, man. Or his wheel kick. He'll start throwing like wheel kicks at you and shit. It's horrible. But yeah, so if I fight like a tall, you know, kickboxer, I got people that are, I guarantee, are better than the guy that I fight.
Right.
So, you know, It's great. It's good.
I will never forget. So now going back, because you mentioned your wife several times. Bro, she got me probably more hyped than you at that one of the I think it was the Lasacom ballroom. It was a ballroom.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but she was like, "You're gonna," I was like, "Oh my God, who is this woman?"
Yeah,
and she was like, and you were just like, "Yeah, yeah,
yep.
yeah."
She gets me so pumped. Like she'll be like, I can hear her over everybody. Like I hear her screaming and stuff. So it's like she gets me so hyped, especially like, and I'm the same way when she fights. Like her last fight on NFA, I was so loud the whole time. Like I watched it back and I was like, God, I'm so embarrassing. Like I'm just like standing up, screaming, like yelling stuff. I believe there was one point in the fight where like her opponent like took her down because she's like an MMA fighter or whatever. So she shouldn't. I mean, it was a kickboxing fight, but like took her down and then started hammer fisting her. And I got so mad. Like, and it was just instinct, I'm sure, for her. She, she's a beginner. So it was kind of like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm like screaming girl, like through the cage and screaming at her coaches and stuff. Like,
so that's got to be a good dynamic because you both are in it, and you don't have like that divided home where it's like, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and go run or something. It's not something that's probably questioned. You guys are. I'm asking too. Is it more of a unified thing there?
Yep. Yeah, it definitely is. The past 2 months have been kind of hard because I was in camp and then like we had 3 weeks there where we're both in camp and now like I'm kind of just like a fat piece of shit and she's like in camp still waking up at 5 a.m. running and like we never really get on the same schedule. It might be a good thing, but it also I think it could be a good thing if we did it too. But we feed off each other, man. Like she'll be, one day we'll be sitting on the couch, she'll be like, like I'm nervous, or like I'll say that to her, like I'll be sitting there, I'm like, man, like what if I don't perform the best that I can? And she'll kind of be like, no, you're gonna do great, you got this, like
that's
yeah. We have the best support system with each other. Like when it comes to fighting, like I'm always. As long as I stay out of like the cornering and all that stuff, and like I think that I'm good. Like
I feel like your blood pressure would go through the roof.
Oh, I've done it before. It was horrible. Like we went down to Iowa one time and she had a fight and like I just never do it again because I can't. Like I get too invested.
Yeah,
it's my life. Like I just want to kill everybody in there when I'm like in the corner. I can't be a good corner to her, but she's got, JP and BD and, all the guys and like, I trust them with everything. So she's going to she's going to win. Like, I think she right now just has one girl in her bracket, but,
this is news to me. I didn't know that your wife fought. That's really cool. I didn't know. So.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. She's a beast, man. She hits harder than most dudes at flyweight, to be honest.
Like, where does she walk around? What is her weight? What is her weight class?
Walk around at, I don't know, like maybe 140s around there, maybe around. I'm not sure, but she cuts a little bit. She's fought at 25, 35, and then I think she's had some fights at 45 too. She just says, "Fuck it, man." She's like Nick and Nate Diaz. She doesn't give a shit. She'll fight.
She's just in there. They're there to fight.
I love it. She's a beast. You see some of these guys like ducking people. Like, I'm not gonna fight this. My wife would be like, oh. Like 2 days notice. She fought at 145 on 2 days notice and was just like, fuck it, let's go. I was like, God damn, like I wouldn't even do that. Like,
the problem with like a last minute 145 is you don't know what you're gonna get.
I know. Yep.
You know what I mean?
You really don't.
Yeah, you can kind of predict it 125 and 135 ish, but 145 you might get this like super jacked meathead like. Kill you with one striker, you might get the skinny guy that can, you just don't know. So. Well,
and for her thing, it was funny. Like we were sitting on like a patio drinking beers and eating chicken fingers, and they texted her and like, "You want to fight in 2 days?" And she's like, "Sure, I guess that's fine." And I was like, "Babe, really?" She's like, "Yeah, I've been training, but she wasn't training like she, right
now for a camp,
not like she should have been, not like a camp." So. She was winning the fight. She just got tired. That's all it was. It was just kind of crazy. Like I would never take a fight on 2 days notice.
Yeah, but that right there to me shows me that she has heart in the game.
Yeah, she's a gangster, dude.
I believe.
she's gonna win. She's gonna win this tournament. I can't wait.
So where do you see? I mean, where do you see yourself, man? Because I think you're UFC material. You know, I think you're headed that way.
I used to not, to be honest, man. Like, so about 3 years ago, I tore my ACL, and I was training with Colin Parr, and we were like just doing some grappling and MMA rounds, and he just landed on it wrong, and I moved the wrong way and just popped it, and it, you know, I was dealing with all that, and I really didn't think I was going to come back the same. I didn't think I was going to be able to, like, I was kind of almost, when I did come back, I was content with being the guy that like just, you know, spars in the gym, has like hard spars in the gym, and just, you know, drinks beer every night and just doesn't give a fuck about anything. Like, that was kind of my mindset at that point. And then COVID hit, actually. And, you know, Watson's closed down for a little bit because they're in the city, so they had to. And I started training at Wolves Den a little bit more. I'd always gone up there like 2 days a week. I'd go like on Wednesdays and Sundays to spar. But I started training up there like every day because they were in O'Fallon. They didn't have to close. And, you know, doing privates with Mop and Drew. And I started just kind of like slowly falling in love with the sport again, like a little bit, like starting to like learn a little bit more, starting to like feel it again. I started running every day, like, you know, the old things that I used to do.
Back into it.
Put down the Bud Light, you know, and all that. So I just, you know, and I think it was just one day I remember Drew was telling me, like, after sparring one time, he was like, man, he's like, I got you. You need to fight again. Like, you need to do it. Like, you can do it. And I was like, man, I'm too old now. I'm getting too old to, like, I mean, I'm not too old to fight, obviously, but, you know, like, UFC is not looking for like a, you know, 35, 36-year-old flyweight. You know, they're looking for the young guys. So I was thinking in my head, I'm just like, no. But he's like, no, I can get you there. Like, you just need to believe in yourself. Like, you're one of the best guys in this room. Like, you can do this. And me and Mop both think you can. Like, you can do this. And so they kind of got me to start believing in myself a little bit more. And then I had my first fight back and against a stud kickboxer, tough kid. And, you know, I did well there, won that like NFA belt or whatever. I always wanted, when I was an amateur, like, it was, I mean, it's an amateur belt, but I was just so excited. Like, I was like, man, I want to win like a belt. I see all these guys winning belts. Like, I want to win one. So that was cool. And then we took another tough fight in Kansas City, won that. And then, you know, Mop and Drew like kind of wanted me to do one more, but we couldn't get an opponent. And then so that we were just like, you know what, screw it. Like, let's go pro and let's make a run and see what we can do. And now I'm actually like doing it. I got lucky enough to have my first 2 fights in LFA, you know, like that's so cool to me. Wow. Like I've been watching LFA, you know, on TV, on UFC Fight Pass for years, like seeing these guys, and now I get to do it, you know, it's not UFC yet, or it's not, you know, up there, but like it means something to me, you know, like it's cool.
It seems to me like you see yourself growing more and more into this, and that's
It took the right people. Like, everybody's always told me that I could, but like it just took the right people to like kind of say it to me in a way where like I can believe it myself.
Right.
And then I started believing it, and now like I'm not one of those cocky people that's like, I can fuck up everybody, I'm gonna be this, that. Like, no, man, I want to go as far with this as I can. So then that way, when I'm done, I can say like I got in there and I didn't leave any stone unturned. You left it all out there. I did it. Like, so it's.
Now, how old are you?
I'm 29 right now.
Okay.
So like I'm at that age where it's like, you know, I got maybe not 2 to 3. I probably got like 4 or 5 to like just to get to that level of like, you know, where they're gonna look at me and be like, you know, that we could use this kid. But you know, it's just kind of like, let's just see what we can do. You know? I think I can do it. I believe in myself, and I believe I can do it. And we're just gonna keep going, you know.
That is awesome, man. Your journey has been really inspiring. I've been seeing it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Definitely, I've been seeing it, and I enjoy it, and I think that a lot of people. What do you got? Jungle juice over there? What's that?
Oh man, it's what everybody was saying at the fights last night. They're like, "What is that? Is that vodka?" I'm like, "No, it's Mio." I take like my gallon water and I pour like a whole bunch of Mio in there.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, it's not vodka. If it was like 4 years ago, this would have been vodka.
So did fighting or martial arts help you overcome anything like that? You know, just kind of.
I don't. Right? So when I was like 17, 18, I got really into painkillers. I started taking painkillers. I believe it was like a rib injury I had from wrestling, and I got prescribed Percocets, and I started taking those. And I've always had like a really addictive personality. It's kind of like when I find stuff that I like I stick with it. Like I could eat the same thing every single day and like it not bother me. That's my routine. Oh yeah, exactly. Or like caffeine or, you know, like training or, you know, things like that. You try to find like things that are like somewhat healthy to do, you know, and not, you know, but for me, it was like, I started taking that and then I started buying them off the streets, you know, like how that is. And then got hooked on them, got onto, you know, heavier shit and then had to go through all that, went to outpatient, did all that. And, you know, I never looked back though. Like I think that whole experience was good for me because like whenever I'm going through some hard stuff, I'm always like, man, if I got through that, I can get through this. But, you know, martial arts helped me with that because it gave me like, I'd always done martial arts, but refocusing on it just kind of gave me that like healthy addiction.
Yes.
Instead of having the unhealthy thing, you know, you're running around the streets trying to get your drugs and, you know, like all that.
I know.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I just try to like look back on it and be like, you know, that was it was horrible. And, you know, I went through like a lot of really hard shit through that time, but you know, you just got to be like, it's in the past, you know, I never looked back. That was the important thing. I never like relapsed or like, you know, it was just me being a dumb kid that didn't understand what addiction was and didn't understand what I was actually doing to myself.
Right.
Like I thought it was cool, you know, and doing whatever. And then you realize you can't go without it. You'll steal for it, rob for it. You'll do whatever for it. So it's just, and then you're like, man, all right, well now I got to work myself out of this. But I was always one of those people that was like, when I knew I needed help, like when I decided to do it, that was it. I wasn't going to go back. So,
right. I mean, that's a powerful tool right there that, you know, to beat addiction. So moving forward, do you have any upcoming fights right now? Anything scheduled?
So far, we're looking at April 30th for Nemesis. We still waiting on like an opponent, but I mean, we have so much time. I think it's 11 weeks away, so plenty of time to find somebody. I'm sure they'll find somebody. Brad and Marlene are great. Like Marlene is the best matchmaker like ever. The fights last night were bangers. Like I can't wait to go back and watch them.
And just watch them.
Like if you go to my story, like on Instagram, I was taking some videos and stuff, and like me and Drew were just sitting there just like, oh my God, like some of the fights that were going, it was great. And I kept seeing her and she, unfortunately, like she doesn't get to like enjoy them. She's, you know,
she's doing her work. Yeah.
And I kept just seeing her. I'm saying, Marlene, like that last one was crazy. She's like, I don't know. I don't care right now. I don't care right now. She's like running around. But like she's doing a great job matchmaking. Her and Drew, they're doing great. They put on great fights. NFA is one of the coolest. And then they're at that Olympia now, and you know, it's like a super open venue. You know, you can fit so many people in there. You know, they've got these big screens going up. Like the production last night was crazy cool.
It's bumping up, huh?
Oh yeah, dude. They're upscaling big time. So it's cool. I mean, you know, seeing how LFA was and seeing how NFA was, it's really not that. Like as far as production value goes, I mean,
right?
It's pretty close. It's fun being able to fight for both of them and like having that like big show feel. So whenever I get to the bigger shows,
right, you're getting those jitters or whatever might be there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And it's good for these guys coming up, like guys from our gym that are just starting out, that are getting in there fighting, because they get to feel that too. So whenever they, you know, get these big fights, you know, on NFA, they're like, okay, I've been here before.
Yeah, because there's nothing else to prepare you besides doing it. So
Nope. Literally nothing. I remember my first fight, I thought like I was like, man, you know, I've been sparring, I've been doing all this, I'll be okay. And then the second I got in there, everything just slows down and it becomes like you're like in like a dream state where like, you know, like you have those nightmares where you're like punching and you can't punch hard. Like you feel like you're not even doing anything. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And you have to like, I've had enough fights now to where I can get out of that whole, I kind of look at it almost as like a sparring match with like ill intentions. I'm like, okay, I'm going in there sparring with a guy that, you know, went too hard with one of my teammates that I don't like, that I'm trying to tune up, you know, or whatever. Yeah. That's how I look at it, you know, but back then when I first started, it was just like, you're throwing punches and you're like, oh my God, I'm not even touching this guy. Like, it's just not even doing anything. You're just freaked out in your head.
So is there kind of jumping around a little bit? Is there any like fantasy like this is a fantasy? Is there any UFC fighter that you would love to fight? Like that you've always thought like, man, I would love to go toe to toe with them. Not to prove anything, but just like it would just be electrifying.
Let's see. I remember Juicy Formiga was on LFA the other night, and he was in the main event. And I was telling Drew, I was like, it would be so cool to fight that dude because he'd fought in the UFC for like years, and he was like one of the top 10 he's the only person to beat Figueiredo, and Figueiredo didn't avenge that loss, so like he's the only one that still has a win over him. So like I was like, man, if I could fight that guy, that would be pretty cool. He's in LFA, so you never know.
I mean, you're kind of close.
Yeah, you never know. A couple, like 4 or 5 more, get up there and see what I could do. But let's see, actual UFC fighter.
Yeah.
You mean just like a flyweight?
Yeah, you could be a flyweight. I mean, even anybody really, but a flyweight, yeah, sure.
Flyweight, probably Cejudo. Like, so somebody like that, like that's really like funny, like I just think it'd be cool to I don't know.
It'd be fun.
Or TJ Dillashaw like would be a big one for me too, because I love his style and I think that
tough.
Would be fun to do. Yeah. So
and I think that's why you're in this. Like I've got an assessment of you. I think you're here to just challenge yourself.
Yeah,
I know you want to win but I feel like you're accepting it as it comes, and if you lose, you lose, but you're still going to continue that drive.
Oh yeah, I'm as competitive as they come. Like I'm here to win. I'm here to win every single fight. I'm trying to win. But I love just the testing myself aspect of it, and just seeing like when I'm done with the fight, I'm like, did I just really do that? Like, did I really do that? Like that's so cool. Like I get to look back on those experiences, and like those are my experiences that I have forever that you can never take away from me. Is I got to get in there and test myself, and I got to, fight, these studs and get in there and just see what I can do. And then getting wins on top of that, it just makes it like a plus to be able to do that. And that's how I am. I'm not like one of these guys. Like I'm honest with myself. Like I'm here to test myself. I always say like what I'm actually feeling. I'm not going to put on a front for anybody. Like this is just me, like it's just who I am.
It is what you get.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get.
Exactly. That's how I am. I'm here to test myself.
As far as amateur, how far did you go into that? How many fights did you do? I mean, I don't know if you can count, if you know the.
Yeah, no, dude, I didn't have that big of an amateur career, actually, to be honest, because I was doing stupid shit. I was 6-0. I went 6-0 as an amateur.
Wow.
My first.
Danny, you're undefeated, man.
Oh yeah, I know, dude. I know, it's pretty crazy. Like the first 3 fights I had was mostly just me, like wrestling. Like it was basically, I don't even look at those as fights, because it was basically just me just like timing my takedowns, taking people down. Mom will always joke around, like when we're in class, and he'll be in someone's guard and he'll be like, all right, and I'd like, don't do the old Danny, like, and he calls the old Danny like me, like just like spamming little hammer fist punches on top of you, and it's like so he'll always give me shit for that. But after that I started like getting a little bit more comfortable in there, and then now, like every fight that I do, I just feel more comfortable in different places. Like
finding your
groove. my first pro fight, like I love throwing elbows. Like it was great, just being able to be in that, like
do that.
Yeah, dude. Like I love the tomahawk elbow, where you like come down with it, and being able to hit that in a fight and like see the damage it does. I mean, it was beautiful. I was like, man, this is so cool, and.
That reminds me, oddly enough, I'm sure you've seen that movie, Never Back Down.
Oh yeah.
She was like, "You're only happy when you're hurting people."
Yeah. Dude, they need to make like a realistic MMA movie. I don't know. Warrior was a good one. Like they did a good job with that Warrior movie. But I know they just tried that one with who was it? Like
Holly Berry, I think.
Holly Berry, yeah. Like I watched like 5 minutes of it. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think if they were to make one, they need to go through the actual steps the fighter has to deal with.
Well, 100%. That's that. What's his face? The dude that played the Marine on Warrior. I forgot his name. The one that was like the twin brother. That dude actually trains. Like he gets in there and spars and shit, and like Like that's cool. If everybody that's on the set that's acting in the movie does that, then they'll understand.
Right. And I know they're trying to sell a movie with Holly Berry. You know, Holly Berry, got it.
Yeah.
But there's big MMA fighters that you could take months and train them how to act
easily,
and put them into that. And I think that'd be more relatable. I have to go back and laugh at Never Back Down. For some reason it was an amazing movie at the time. And still, I think it's a good movie to watch just to have. But
oh yeah, for sure, you gotta watch it.
But it's hilarious, you know.
Yeah. Like, well, that part when like him and the girl like they're like messing around. She's like, "Are you gonna tap out?" Like, that like shit, like corny shit like that is so funny to me. Like it is. I think it's great. Hilarious. You gotta watch it. You do, yeah. Now, is there any are there any movies that get you just like, I gotta go train right after I watch this? Yes, Vision Quest. You ever seen Vision Quest?
Vision Quest. No. I'm gonna put that on my list.
It's a wrestling movie. Like it's a wrestling movie. It's really good. That one always gets me jacked. Like me and my dad would like watch it and I'd be like, all right, let's go out to the garage. Like we go train. Or like when I was like 3 years old, I remember watching Mortal Kombat, and like Mortal Kombat was like my first movie that I ever watched. So like that one always gets me jacked still.
Did you like the Creeds? Like
the Creeds were good. Yeah, I like the Creeds. I like the first one was really good.
Yeah, solid.
The first one was really good. Or the Rocky movies. Like I love the Rocky movies. There's a lot of really good, like all the classic fighting movies like that are really good.
Do you have any as far as physical fitness or MMA? Do you have any inspirations as far me personally? I listen to David Goggins all the time.
Yeah.
And do you know who that is?
Yeah, dude. Just he's like running. Cold. He's like screaming at the camera while he's running and stuff.
Yeah. He's like, I just ran 100 miles and I don't care. It's raining.
Yeah, it's raining. It's 10 degrees outside.
But no one cares. Don't cry. It's like, all right, well, I was whining about going to do 2 miles this morning, but now I'm going to go do them. So,
yep.
You know, you kind of. So, who would be your inspirations as far as that goes? Like stuff like that.
Like people like that. I mean, mostly just the people that I got around me. To be honest, like Drew and Mop, or like my strength and conditioning coach Matt Owen. He's like one of my, like I love watching him like when he's in the gym and he's like powerlifting and shit and getting all like into it. Like it's like I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. Like let's go. Like shit like that. Like I get hyped up by my own people. Like I don't know.
Awesome.
Like or just watching them win. Like whenever we'll have like a show, we'll have like 7 guys on the card and they'll all win and everybody's feeding off each other. Like that kind of stuff gets me amped. Like I know a lot of people like will listen to stuff like David Guy. Like, and I've heard some of that stuff, but like all I need is my people like to just get me motivated, you know, like that's always been me.
Now I was so happy to see Drew, his transformation, dude.
Oh, dude, I know. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I think 120 pounds. I don't know, but it was a lot. And to see him go through that and was powerful. Now, the one thing I like about Drew, like, is he is authentic as it comes.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
His Facebook post, I start dying laughing on how honest he is and how forward he is. It's almost to where it's like, damn, dude, you are just like.
Some people hate him for that, and some people love him for that, and like, I love him for that. I think, you know, like he says what he feels. Like, I mean, he doesn't give a shit. It matter.
It's rare to find a person like
he's
that.
Not afraid to hurt people's feelings. Like, if he's got an opinion about something, like he's gonna say it. And like some people, like again, some people hate that, some people don't. I love it. I think it's okay.
I think it's necessary.
It's necessary, yeah. Yep. And he'll always be straight up with his students too. Like he'll say, you need to like, he's not gonna sit there and like gas you up and stuff when you shouldn't be, when you're not in the gym doing what you need to do.
Right.
You're like, this guy will beat you. You need to be training. You need to be, you know, doing this. So yeah, his transformation was cool too. I seen you were, you know, losing some weight here now too.
I was a big boy.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much weight did you lose again?
It was just 45. Yeah.
Still, man, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was the thing that made me do it was within 3.5 months. So I really.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I really pushed myself, but I kind of went insane in the brain. I wanted to test myself, and I kind of took a path of Goggins, which I do not. I'm going to put this out there. I don't. Not for everybody. Yeah. I would go weekends fasting. I would go for 5 to 8 to 10 mile runs every single morning. I was just getting stupid with it, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I wanted to see where I could push my mind and my body and my emotional state, because I feel like in this martial art, in this, whatever you do, you should always try to find your pinnacle. You should always try to push yourself and see if you can test, if you can last, and if you can't last, then that's something to work towards. There's your beginning now. That's the way I feel. So
I like that. That's awesome, dude.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's kind of like, it's the same thing in the gym. Like when you're tired and you're like you're hitting pads and stuff, you gotta like try to push your brain past like where your limits are. And once you do that, like then you have a new limit, and then the next day you do it again. Like, and you just.
But I tell you what, if I could bottle that feeling up when you're about to give up and then you keep going, whatever's in between there is magic.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I wish I could too, man. Yep.
We would be billionaires. So
I have that. I try to put that in my head every time I'm on the treadmill. Like I have this thing where like I'll always run 30 minutes, but I try to do like 4.5 miles in like 30 minutes. So like I'll start at like 8 on the treadmill, like, which to me is kind of fast. And then I'll try to, every song that I'm listening to, I'll like bump it up. And then once I start bumping it up, like I can't like go down with it.
Right.
I can't try to like slow down. So like if I bump it up too early, well then I'm screwed. Like then that's what I'm going to be doing the whole time. So then I have to put myself in that, like I try to get myself like dog shit tired to the point where I'm like having to like pull stuff out of me when I'm running. Like I do that, like try to do that like every morning. Like when I'm in a camp, I try to do that.
That's beautiful.
Myself to that point.
Danny, what would you, we're going to get off here soon, but what would you say to those young fighters that are even martial artists that want to get into something? What is a piece of advice or something that you can give to them?
I would say a couple of things. I would say you need to find a gym that's not going to give you one thing that you need to be good. Like you need to find somewhere that is, open, has an open mind, and is going to be, you got guys your size that are going to help you, push you. You don't ever want to be the best person in the room. You want to be in the middle. You want to be able to like have guys that can beat the dog shit out of you, and you want guys to be able, you could test your stuff out on and be respectful with them and like help them out too. Also, I would say cage time. You need to, like, we have guys that are active, man. Like we have, like, they'll be fighting. Like we had this guy, Noah Harrell. He's one of our 35ers. He just fought last night in a boxing fight. He's fighting like next month in an MMA fight. And then like, he's got 3 fights lined up. Like after that, like Drew keeps us active. Like activity is important. And that's something that I missed out on when I was younger. Like I'd go every time I would fight, it would be like the first time that I'm fighting. Like it would be like your first time. Right. So I didn't start getting comfortable fighting until like a couple years ago when I was active, started to be active taking fights. And I'm still not as active as I would even want to be now. Right. So it's, I would say activity and cage time is probably the most important thing that you could do for a fighter. Not caring about your record and just going in there and fighting guys that are going to push you. Like as an amateur, you need to fight like the best guys. And that was another thing, is I was just kind of fighting who was put in front of me until I went to Wolves Den. And then we were trying to get guys that were going to push me in certain areas, like really good strikers, really good all around guys, like, so you want to make sure that you're fighting the best people too. Cause that's the important thing, is you want to build yourself and just keep getting better, keep fighting tougher people as you go along as an amateur. Perfect. And then when you're an amateur, when you're like an amateur champion, you're like set, you got like 8-9 fights, then you could start thinking about turning pro. And that's something that I missed out on. I didn't get to have any of that. It was just kind of like, I'm going to fight whoever they're put in front of me. And then that, that's that. And then I'm going to wait like a year and not fight and then fight again. It was just stupid. I wish I could get, guys like Justin or Sam or people like that are so young, and they're just they can have as many fights as they can just, keep
them coming.
Keep them coming. Yeah, exactly. So,
awesome.
gonna make up for it now, I guess. You know.
Well, there you go, man. Well, hey, Danny, this has been awesome, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
Seriously,
for having me, dude.
This is good.